And while I'm trying to get things together, I keep getting discouraged and falling back into old bad habits. Does Judy have any tips for how to keep my life on track? I also have a hard time believing God has forgiven me for what I've done. That's Bethany.
Okay. Well, Bethany, as far as I'm concerned, what has worked for me profoundly is approaching the sacraments. Every day I believe in the transforming power of the Eucharist and the Word of God, and I could not then, in my brokenness, get enough of that. And unfortunately, I was not catechized well, and I was not evangelized well. And again, message based on the disposition of the recipient. But I know now to believe God at His Word and to sit in His Word and learn His truths. I mean, Satan believes in God. It's not enough to believe Him. We have to. It's not enough to believe in Him. We have to believe Him that He is who He says, and He does what He says, and we are who He says we are, and nobody can tell us any different. So my suggestion for Bethany is, to you seek the Lord, and you will never, ever seek Him in vain. And seek Him through the sacraments.
Well, there's the mystery of the sacraments, because you were receiving the sacraments as a young woman, even when you were totally not aware of what they meant.
Right.
But so on the one hand, they're not magic, just receiving, going to confession. If your heart's not there, your mind's not there. Right. On the one hand, it's not magic. But on the other hand,
it is.
The fact that you're here
speaks volumes
is the fact that you did have the sacraments, the baptism.
I believe that.
The sacraments, that the Lord was there. The Lord was present. We can squelch, but the Lord is there just waiting for us.
He's a perfect gentleman. And I've not experienced a lot of those in my life. So that's a beautiful thing. He just waits patiently for us.
Another email, Dave from Kansas City. My son and his wife are going through a rough time right now. They have demanding jobs, and neither of them seem happy with their marriage. It breaks my heart to see them investing time and effort into their work, but not into their life together. Can Judy offer any encouragement for this situation or ideas to reach them?
Well, I think again, my own personal experience, I sought, if we don't seek freedom, we seek shelter. And usually those things that we seek shelter in are oppressing us further to some degree or another. And in this case, it's in their jobs and in things, we seek those things that bring us what we feel will make us feel accepted and loved, the very thing that only God can provide. And I would strongly encourage, without a doubt, the Retrovi ministry, which is an international ministry that ministers to troubled marriages, and they have a website and weekends all over the world. And it's an incredible opportunity for them to rebuild their marriage and refocus on what it is, like Bob and I say, for better and worser.
Well, and I would also add that, God does call men and women sometimes to very demanding jobs.
Yes.
To very demanding careers. And when we look in history, they're great heroes in the work environment that made big differences in our world in a very positive way. And so there are demands, and so we don't want to come off saying, just jobs are bad.
No.
And there's some in our culture that would say that. So what is needed is the spiritual direction that we each need, so that we can sometimes recognize that we are not seeing how we become absorbed in our work. Even men in ministry, men and women in ministry, can put that beyond their family.
Yep.
I mean, there's the wisdom of the church in celibacy, recognizing, as Paul said, a man who's married has to look at the needs of his wife. Right. A man that isn't can look at the needs of the church. And so there's that. So men and women who have callings and they believe in careers, the need for spiritual direction. Now, one of the problems is there's a dearth of spiritual directors. Finding one. I mean, that's why there's wonderful groups like Opus Dei and other groups that will give spiritual direction, particularly for men and women who are seeking holiness as lay men and women.
That's right, our call to holiness.
Exactly, to be saints in their workplace. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to give up great careers, but they've got to make sure they have the spiritual guidance to keep it in balance.
Absolutely. Doing the next right thing is easier said than done for many of us.
All right.